Good afternoon, race fans. I'm Chris Terrell. I'm here for dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to the live version this week rather than the pre-recorded show. I'm going to go over my cheat sheet, how to download it, how to make an editable version so that you can check, you can check all the boxes. You can adjust the model. You can tweak things a little bit to your liking, and go over some of my top picks. Final practice is over as of a couple hours ago, and the final race of the season gets underway tomorrow. So we are here for the Ford EcoBoost 400 from Homestead Miami Speedway. I am fresh off of coming back from Phoenix, Arizona. I was there at ISM Raceway last weekend for the triple header weekend. It was a great time. Thanks to NASCAR for welcoming me again, giving me pit passes for me and my family. I was quite surprised. My 14 and 4-year-old daughter absolutely loved the race, had a good time. So moving on to the last race of the season here. On DFSR.com, if you click on Other and go to articles there, you can click on my article, kind of previews the race. What I do is I kind of give you a preview of the track, what it takes to win there. It's a 1.5 mile track, very abrasive. We got banking between 18 and 20 degrees, progressive banking, so it's a little bit flatter at the bottom, more banked at the top. What that creates is, like I said, an abrasive track. Wears the tires out quickly. Start to see tire wear like 2 to 5 laps into a run. So moving around the track is very critical, and you're going to see a lot of guys as the race goes on trying to run the top line there as well, and trying to catch guys late in the race as we've seen last year. Guys are going to be moving around, trying to find that spot where they can actually gain an advantage on the competitors in front of them and try and win the race. So we've got Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Joey Logano in the final. So we got the big three there in Harvick, Busch, and Truex. Then we got Logano. Now, the big thing was that those 4 drivers, there's not really a surprise. You may think Joey Logano's maybe a surprise in that final. Not the case, really, because of those 4 drivers, they finished 1 through 4th in average finish this season, 1 through 4 in FanDuel scoring this season, and 1 through 4 in laps led this season. So all 4 very deserving, and everything is reset. It doesn't matter in points. Stage points don't matter anymore. It all comes down to which of those 4 drivers finishes ahead of the other 3. That's going to be the guy that takes home the 2018 Monster Energy Cup Series Championship. So scrolling through, I'm going to share my screen here, going to show you how to download the sheet and then go over some of the picks from there. So I'm just going to jump ahead and share my screen here with you. So on DFSR.com, like I said, you get into my article, preview article, and then you're going to scroll down. You're going to see the preview of the race. You're going to see the last 5 winners, and then we're going to see some trends here from my cheat sheet. We've got current track history, we've got career track history, we've got track type history, which is the 1.5 mile intermediate tracks. There's 12 during the season. And then we're going to get into form. So this week in the form on my sheet, instead of just doing the last 6 races, which I've been doing all season, I've actually broken it down to playoffs. So the 9 races before this, how the drivers have been doing. And then we've got post-qualifying targets. And then at the very bottom here is where you can download the cheat sheet. Either click on DFS NASCAR cheat sheet or click on the cheat sheet picture here itself. It's going to load. The cheat sheet looks very similar to this. It's going to be view only. So if you want to edit or even sort any of these columns when doing your research, what you're going to have to do, I get a lot of emails asking for permission to the main sheet. I can't do that because some people just do use the version so you're not able to edit it. But what you can do is go up to File, make a copy. You can name it whatever you'd like here. Click OK. It's going to open up another version of the sheet just for you. It's going to look exactly the same. The only difference is you're going to be able to edit it. So what you're going to do once you're done that, the first place I always start, I like to look at the current track history the last 2 years. So what you'll see is if you go into this average finish column in the current track history and you go up to data and sort columns A to Z, which would be lowest to highest average finish, that's what we're looking for. It's going to sort all the drivers by average finish over the last 2 races here at Homestead. So there's only 1 race here per year. It is the championship race going back to 2002. That's when Homestead took over the final race of the season. So over the last 2 years, you can see Kyle Larson, the drivers who have been the most consistent haven't got any wins here. Kyle Larson has back-to-back. He's actually got 3 straight top 5s here. So look out for him this weekend. Makes a great GPP play. Could be the driver Something else to note is that the last 4 years, the eventual champion of the Cup Series has won the race at Homestead. So we've got Truex last year. We've got Jimmy Johnson the year before that. We've got Kyle Busch in 2015. We've got Kevin Harvick in 2014. So that streak's at 4. So Kyle Larson's maybe one of the guys that you think that could be my top 2 picks for those guys that maybe could be the guys that spoil the fun for the champion. See a double burnout here at Homestead this weekend would be Kyle Larson and Brad Keselowski. But that's what we can sort there. Then we've got career track history. You can see how many races each driver has, wins, top 5s, top 10s, that sort of thing. So I like to look at that as well. We've got DraftKings averages the last 6 races here, so you can sort by that column. Now, a big one this week, the Homestead Miami is a 1.5 mile track. There are 12 of those races during the year, like I mentioned. Miami's a little bit different because of the progressive banking. It doesn't really have that straight stretch on the front, so it's not a D-shaped oval. It's just a straight oval. Abrasive, it wears the tires a little bit more on the low side. There's multiple lanes. It makes for a great championship venue just because of the multiple lanes, and drivers can, not turn into like a single file around the track, very tough to pass. You can actually go different lines. You can ride the wall, you can ride the bottom, you can go in the middle groove to try and get around guys. So that's definitely makes it a great track. So if you want to check out track history, I'm not weighing it quite as high this week just because Miami is a little bit different from the other 1.5 mile tracks out there. But if you'd like to see, say, who's performed the best on DraftKings or FanDuel, we'll go into this column AI, and we're going to go Z to A for highest to lowest. We can see Kevin Harvick leads all DK this season. So I've created this other sheet as well. And if you like access to it, just hit me up on Twitter and the DFSR chat room, and I will definitely share it with you. But this is all the intermediate tracks so far this season. So you can see Kevin Harvick has got 4 wins on intermediate tracks, under a 10 average finish because he does have that 39th at Vegas and 40th at Charlotte earlier in the year, but he's led 867 laps. And laps led dominator points are a lot more important on DraftKings than they are FanDuel, and that's why he is the leader when looking at DraftKings averages. Looking at FanDuel, Kyle Busch is up there just because he's been a little bit more consistent this year, leads all drivers in those 11 previous 1.5 mile races with a 5.4 average finish. He's got 3 wins and only finished outside the top 10 once, and that was at Texas earlier in the playoffs here. He's also got 572 laps led as well. So like I said, current form in the playoffs. Now, it might be a little surprising to some who the leader is here. Going to sort that column. Eric Almirola right there at the top. He's got a win and 6 top 10s in the 9 races during the playoffs. Been very consistent, so look out for him as well. A little bit better, as you can see, on FanDuel than DraftKings. And then we got Joey Logano in the championship 4. Almirola just missed out, but Logano did make it in. He won at Martinsville. He, as you can remember, he took out Martin Truex Jr. On the final lap there. So that could cause, that's something that definitely should pay attention to this week. Truex said he, in his press conference prior to getting into the car for practice on Friday, I think it might have been on Thursday, he said he's not going to dump any car unless it's the 22. So definitely look out for that. But yeah, back to Logano. He's second in my overall model this week. Very consistent in the playoffs. He leads all drivers with 7 top 10s in those 9 races. Like I said, he won at Martinsville. He also leads all drivers with 5 top 5s in those 9 races. So I'm going to get into some of the practice and qualifying times, but he definitely stands out as an excellent play this week. Then with season forms, so we can kind of look at how a driver's done during the season. And like I said, you go sort by average finish over the course of the 35 races prior to this week. And who do you have at the top? You've got Busch, Harvick, Logano, and Truex, the 4 championship drivers. You go to laps led and you sort highest to lowest there. You've got Harvick, Truex, and Logano. Same with FanDuel average. Top 5s. What do you see? Harvick, Busch, Truex, Logano. Top 10s. Same story. So definitely deserving drivers in here. Now, what else you can do on the cheat sheet? Some of the most important stuff, all these numbers that you see up here, from this BJ over to BV, that is just ranking some of the data that we've already looked at, as well as in the purple, we've got practice and qualifying ranks. So we've got practice 1 qualifying, practice 2, 10 lap averages, practice 3 is the 10-lap average, and then the average practice time of P2 and P3, and then the differentials. That just kind of tells us where a guy qualified. So, for instance, we've got Kevin Harvick who qualified 12th, but he averaged 21st in practices, so he kind of gets a knock here at a +9. Hasn't really shown that speed. Now, something tricky there while in practice today. He maybe was running the low line quite a bit today. He wasn't really running the high line. Said he wasn't really going to run the high line until we get to, when it turns nighttime during the race. So they were kind of saying that he probably would be a lot faster if he ran the high line like some of the other guys. So I'm not really taking a lot of practice from these championship drivers into, it's not a be-all, end-all. I'm not going to fade Harvick because he was 28th in practice 2 or Kyle Busch was 23rd. Still like both of those drivers. They've been dominant on the mile-and-a-half track this season. So I'm definitely just be looking at that a little bit closely this weekend. And then if you want to see the last 6 races at Homestead, you can click on this last 6 races here, and it's going to show you results. We got FanDuel and DraftKings scoring there as well. And these are my final targets for the week, the drivers I like in the top tier, mid tier, and value tier. So just looking at some of those top picks here this week, the biggest thing that stood out today watching final practices was Joey Logano and the speed that he showed. He qualified 5th. He unloaded 16th in first practice, so it wasn't very good. But he came out today, and in both of the final 2 practices, was first in 1 lap and 10-lap average, just completely dominant at points, was 0.2 of a second faster than everybody else on track. So definitely look out for him. The only thing that is going to ruin his weekend could be Martin Truex Jr. So definitely look out for that. But myself, I'm looking to build my lineups around Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. Like I said, they both won championships here, won the Homestead to win those championships in 2014 and 2015. They both dominated the mile-and-a-half track so far this season. Like I said, the practices weren't great. I'm leaning Kyle Busch for one, that he's a little bit cheaper on sites, and put it together with his 10-lap averages in the final practice as well. So definitely looking at him. Moving on, like I said, Carson could be the guy, GPP play for sure, that could go ahead and ruin the party for the eventual winner of the championship. Now, of those 4 drivers, the winner of the championship doesn't necessarily have to win the race. But like I said, the last 4 years, that has been the case. So moving on, some of the other plays that I like here, I mentioned on the sheet. Going over here, I like Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, and Jamie McMurray. In the mid-range, we've got Eric Jones, who was very fast through practice. He qualified 7th. He was 5th and 4th in the final 2 practices, 2nd and 5th in 10-lap averages. Eric Almirola has been the most consistent driver throughout the playoffs, just narrowly missed getting to the final. He qualified 10th, so it gives us a little bit of place differential. He was 2nd and 5th in the final 2 practices and 6th in 10-lap averages in both of those practices. And then Jamie McMurray, probably his last race of his career. Looks like he's going to probably retire after this year. He qualified 21st, showed better speed in both his final practices. He's very cheap on both sides. And just going ahead and looking at his track history here, and just kind of a shout out to racingreference.com as well as driveraverages.com, 2 sites that I love to use. Insert their data into my cheat sheets. Excellent sources for any racing info whatsoever. As we can see, Jamie McMurray has finished top 15 here in 4 straight races with 2 top 5s in that time as well. So for his price, it makes a ton of sense to get him in your lineups this week at 7,100 on DraftKings, 8,000 on FanDuel. Even if he finishes, I think his ceiling is probably around a 14th, 15th place finish. But even if he finishes anywhere in that top 20 from 15th to 20th, he'll definitely pay off his price and helps us get to 2 elite drivers in our lineups. Going on the cheap side of things, I definitely like looking at Menzith. Also, could be his last race of his career. He's only 6,700 on DraftKings. He makes sense here. He's been good here as well. He's started in 17th. He's more of a GPP play because he did not show much more speed than that 17th start in position, but he is very cheap, like I mentioned, on DraftKings. GPP play only there. Ryan Newman as well, very GPP, probably low owned because he did qualify in the top 10 and didn't show very good speed whatsoever after that practice too. He wasn't good in 10-lap averages, and then he was 30th in final practice, 22nd in 10-lap averages there. So definitely looking to him GPP only. A guy that I am looking at here is David Reagan, just kind of scrolling down here a little bit. He is 26th on my overall model. He's in that low 6K range on both sides. He's got a positive qualifying to practice differential. Started 25th. I'd like to start probably a little farther back in the field. Starting 25th, just 12:20, third in the final two practices. So he did show speed better than his starting position. He was even 21st in 10-lap averages. So I don't see his upside. His upside is probably like an 18th to 21st place finish. But even anywhere in that 20 to 25th at his price definitely will get him enough value that you can go up and you can pair like a Harvick or Kyle Busch with a Kyle Larson, or down into the Almirola. If you want to go, say, like an Almirola, Eric Jones, and one of the top tier guys, definitely makes sense, and he can definitely help you get there. He is coming off a 17th place finish here last year, which is kind of positive. Started in 25th. He hasn't been that great here before, but like I said, GPP only if you're looking at it that way. That pretty much takes care of all my picks here for this week. Like I said, you can download this sheet through dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. You can also go over to my Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9, and you will find all my content on there as well. Just scrolling through my timeline. You can ask me any questions on there leading up to the race. You can leave comments in this video below here as well. I will also be in the chat pretty much all of tonight and in tomorrow morning as well. I also cover NFL for dailyfantasysportsrankings.com, so I'll be in there if you have any NFL questions as well. And on the sheet, like I said, you can check out all my targets here. If you have any questions about them, definitely hit me up. You can also, I didn't mention this, you can hit me up in the comments section of the article down here at the bottom. I'll be checking those later tonight and in the morning as well, leading up to the race. And like I said, if you want access to this, this would be like my intermediate track. So I'm going to call it right now, is my intermediate track 2018. And spell right. I'll just leave that. 1.5 tracks for 2018. If you're looking for this data, definitely up as well. I like to put it in a cheat sheet just so I can kind of figure out average finishes and stuff like that. Other than that, thanks for watching the video and checking it out. Oh, we've got a question here I'll hit up. Do you see the 18 getting out early? And I do see, one storyline into, throughout the day today as well as yesterday. The 18 qualified second just behind Denny Hamlin, his teammate. Hamlin ended up going forward and giving Kyle Busch the #1 pit stall, which is huge here. I heard someone talking today that, the #1 pit stall is very important. You have no one in front of you when you're leaving your pits. So you've got to worry about that. And pretty much the second pit stall, the fourth pit stall, pretty much all the same. So the #1 pit stall is big. I do see Kyle Busch getting ahead of Hamlin, maybe in the first lap or two. He did show that, like I said, third and 10-lap averages. I could see him leading pretty much the whole first stage. I think Logano, looking at the speed that Logano put together, I think Logano can definitely give him a run for his money early on. But I think, watching the race live last weekend, Kyle Busch wasn't able to really get into that top 5 and maintain it throughout the whole first 2 stages. But his team, I think, is one of the best, at least top 3. They're saying Logano probably has the best pit crew right now, but I think that's kind of, leveled off with the fact that Kyle Busch is starting in the first pit stall, and I think their pit crews are very, very close together. So I do think that even if Logano does get up there early, get some laps of himself, that Busch will make the right adjustments throughout the race and get up there late in the race. And definitely, one other thing I didn't mention is looking at the last 6 races. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can see how many drivers have led 100 laps. So out of 5 of the last 6 races, there's been only one driver to lead 100 or more laps in 5 of those last 6 races that I look at on the cheat sheet here. I think Kyle Busch is that driver this week, starting second. Like I said, I think he gets up there first. I think he maybe leads most of the first stage. I think Logano could probably lead some laps maybe towards the end of the first stage and into the second stage. But I think overall, Kyle be the lap leader for the day. So he's my top dominator. And like I said, he comes cheaper than Harvick. I do like Harvick as a GPP play. Starting 12th does give you a little bit of place differential. So what I'm probably going to do, because those are my top two drivers, is probably build a lineup with Harvick and then duplicate that lineup with Kyle Busch and then run that over and over multiple times as well. And then try and fit in some Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, combination of at least one of those four. Probably have the most of Harvick and Kyle Busch, and then definitely Logano and Larson in there as well. Those are going to be the drivers that I'm going to be building my foundation around. And like I said, for some of those GPP stars and scrubs, I'm going to get two of those four drivers in my lineups and then just mix in some of these low-tier guys as well. So hope that answers your question. Chalky plays after today definitely are going to be Logano. Just that speed he showed. He was at the top of the charts all day long. I think Martin Truex might be a little bit chalky this week. He did, he's starting third, so yeah. I originally thought he'd be overlooked, but kind of look at the numbers here. He was very fast in practices, and moving down the charts, I think Eric Jones will be a little bit chalky this week with his speed. Eric Almirola definitely probably higher owned than Jones, just because of the the price there as well. Hamlin started from the lead. I'll be fading Hamlin myself, starting the poll. I think Logano and Busch are definitely going to be more laps led and having a negative play differential there. I just don't think Hamlin is going to play. Maybe going his way just because of his price on DraftKings 800 and starting from the pole. He did show some speed in that second practice. He was third in 1 lap and 10 lap averages, so definitely there. But highest owned driver I think is going to be Logano. And then right behind him, probably, I think Kyle Busch and Martin Truex. I think people may be scared a little bit because of Harvick, and I think that makes him a great GPP play this week. Like I said, he ran the bottom in practice. He didn't run the top at all. So I think he kind of left a lot out there in practices that didn't really show his competition. It's kind of a mind game, and he's a guy that likes to play mind games for sure. Guys are really watching those other 3 drivers' practice times when it comes to the final 2 practices in this championship race. So once he gets up on that high line, as it turns to tomorrow, I think he's a guy that he may not be the lap leader, but I could see him leading 30, 40 laps in this race and getting up there. Austin Dillon, definitely like Austin Dillon here this week. He loves this track. He's starting 16th. He did show some better speed than his practice times. He's very cheap, 7,700, 8,800 on FanDuel, and had a pretty good track record here as well. Just going to go ahead and look at that before exit here. 11th, 12th, and 14th in his last 3 trips here. So starting 16th, I'd liked him to start 20th or worse, would have been a lot better, but that also probably would have made him one of the chalky plays in the mid-range. So I think he's definitely got some GPP value starting 16th because a lot of people may go a different direction, especially looking at, just going to sort by DraftKings price in here again. Computer's kind of locking up on me. So, yeah, looking at that mid-tier, I think a lot of people will just go pay up for Eric Jones or Almirola. So at a little bit of a discount, possibly a little bit of an ownership discount as well. I think Austin Dillon makes an excellent GPP play starting 16th because most people don't really associate him with a top 15 driver on a consistent basis. But like we've seen here, he's finished top 15 in 3 straight years, and he's got better every single year, 25th, 14th, 12th, and 11th. So definitely like him as a GPP play this week. So that concludes the video. I'm going to get going, and I'm going to start making some lineups for the race tomorrow and get prepping for the big NFL day tomorrow, 10-game slate. Like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up in the DFSR chat room or on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9 or in the comment section below. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and set your notifications. And that way, what will happen is every time I come out with a new video, you're going to get a notification, and when I either do a live show or post a new show to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me, and good luck this week, everyone.